welcome back. My name is Heaven. Nice to see you, nice to meet you, love you. Before we jump into today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, comment, say hello. It really helps this channel grow. I'm really trying to grow more because I feel like a lot of my experiences and struggles, my words of wisdom could help some people, and sometimes I do fun videos like this one. But anyways, so if you could help me grow, that would really mean the world to me, and I love you. Today's video is going to be all about my reading adventures this year. So in 2020, I have consumed more than 100 books. And by consume, I mean audiobooks and physical books. Towards the start of like the lockdowns and stuff, obviously I had much more time at home to be listening to audiobooks and things. Even when I was going into the office, like I would put my AirPods in and listen to some books sometimes. My original goal this year was to read 35 because last year I had gotten through 32. And obviously I exceeded that goal by a lot. By what, 65? Is that the math? I don't know. Yeah, so I've gone through a lot of books, a lot of audiobooks I'll listen to now while I'm working. I use the app Libby, and let me show you guys this app. Libby connects to my library cards, and I can just borrow books from my library. This is what it looks like. And you just connect your library card and you can scroll through, you can see all of the books. They have audiobooks, physical books. If you choose the physical book, you can either read it on this app or you can transfer it to the Kindle app and read it that way. So right now, if we go popular books to see what they have, you just scroll through and find whatever you want to read. If all the copies are already checked out, you just place a hold, and then when it's available, it'll automatically show up on your shelf. I just wanted to share with you all of the books I read this year. I'm just going to go through them quickly. Probably put up a picture of the cover on here somewhere during the video. And yeah, and then I'll share my favorite ones with you, like my top. So on January 10th, 2020, I started this Twitter thread. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you probably should, because that's where all of my dark humor comes out, and it's just a grand old time. It's at HeavenInNJ. It's always linked down below also. So on January 10th, I said, I'm making a thread of the books I read in 2020. In 2019, I consumed, audio and physical, 32 books, hoping for at least 35 this year. Honestly, I think I hit 30 by like April, March, I don't know. It was pretty quick. But anyways, so I have every single book I read in this thread, and I'm just gonna go off this list, and then I have a stack of some of the physical books here, and then at the end I'll tell you my favorite. If you want to skip through my entire list, I will timestamp to get to my top part if you just want some like book suggestions. All of these were generally pretty good books. There were some that I really just did not like at all, and I'll tell you which ones. There weren't many, but you know. All right, here we go. The Heart Goes Last by Margaret Atwood, Undone by Karen Slaughter, The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. That one I read because I was in an economics course at the time, and it was just fascinating. So I just wanted to read economics and finance books. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, The Silent Patient, Alex, don't know how to pronounce that last name. Broken by Karen Slaughter, The Last Widow by Karen Slaughter, Fear City by Kim Phillips Fein. That one was really, really good. The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney, Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, Touch by Courtney Mom, The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware, Evicted by Matthew Desmond, The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This was one of the books I really did not like at all. I even wrote in my tweet, no bueno. It was not good. Sorry. Right. The Big Short by Michael Lewis, The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes, Florida by Lauren Groff, People, Power, and Profits by Joseph Stiglitz, The Warehouse by Rob Hart, The Wives by Taryn Fisher, Kitchen Confidential from Anthony Bourdain, and I had the audiobook of this one and he read it. It was just like extra sad, like rest in peace. American Royals by Catherine McGee, The Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee, Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed, Keeping Lucy by T. Greenwood, Dope Sick by Beth Macy, Followers by Megan Angelo, The Woman in the Window, AJ Finn, The Radium Girls by Kate Moore. Tightrope, Americans Reaching for Hope by Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Wooden. Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. Mr. Nobody by Catherine Steadman. Untamed by Glennon Doyle, really good. Hill Women by Cassie Chambers. Weather by Jenny Offill. All the Light We Cannot See, Anthony Doerr, I think. In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. Reputation by Sarah Shepard. American Dirt by Janine Cummins. The Glass Hotel, Emily St. John Mandel. Rules for Being a Girl by Candace Bushnell. Clap When You Land, Elizabeth Acevedo. Park Avenue Summer by Renee Rosen. 20 Minutes in Manhattan by Michael Sorkin. This one I had a physical copy of. Let me show it to you. It looks like this. Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. Normal People, Sally Rooney. Dear Edward by Anne Neapolitan. Sorry, it looks like Neapolitan ice cream. Here for It by R. Eric Thomas. Hidden Valley Road, Inside the Mind of an American Family by Robert Kolker. The Plaza by Julie Sato. I had this one as a physical copy as well. Fleischman is in Trouble by Taffy Brodesser-Akner. Pieces of Her, Karen Slaughter. The Hilarious World of Depression, John Moe. Happy and You Know It, Laura Hankin. The Lies That Bind, Emily Giffen. The Beauty in Breaking, Michelle Harper. Broken People, Sam Lansky? I don't know. Severance by Ling Ma. Big Summer, Jennifer Weiner. The Last Time I Lied, Riley Sager. New York Diaries, edited by Teresa Carpenter. Let me find that one. Had this one in a physical copy. This is in my top, so I will tell you what it's about later. Absolutely fascinating. An American Marriage, Tayari Jones. The Safe Place, Anna Downs. Empty by Susan Burton. Things No One Will Tell Fat Girls by Jess Baker. Under the Rainbow, Celia Lasky. The Answer Is by Alex Trebek. This one was narrated by him and Ken Jennings, and it was so good, and especially now looking back, now that he's not with us anymore, it's like, I want to listen to it again. Rest in peace. The Nightingale, Kristen Hanna. The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. That one was a short story, but it was crazy. The Silent Wife, Karen Slaughter. Frederick Douglass, Prophet of Freedom by David Blight. That one was a 37-hour audiobook. They Wish They Were Us, Jessica Goodman. The Dead Zone by Stephen King. The X, Alifair Burke. Blue Ticket, Sophie McIntosh. The Return, Rachel Harrison. High Achiever, Tiffany Jenkins. Something She's Not Telling Us by Darcy Bell. Survivor Song, Paul Tremblay. Smacked, Eileen Zimmerman. The Farm, Joanne Ramos. Catherine House, Elizabeth Thomas. The Lying Life of Adults, Elena Ferrante. My Not So Perfect Life, Sophie Kinsella. Dear Evan Hansen, Val Emmich. I don't know. This one I read because obviously I live like right outside New York City, so we see all like the Broadway commercials and stuff, and this is always on the commercials. The song got stuck in my head, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna read the damn story because I want to know what it's about. The Pull of the Stars, Emma Donahue. The Guest List, Lucy Foley. Too Much and Never Enough, Mary L. Trump. Sunburn, Laura Littman. Ask Again Yes, Mary Beth Keane. Before We Were Yours, Lisa Wingate. One by One, Ruth Ware. The Comeback, Ella Berman. The Institute, Stephen King. Anxious People by Frederick Backman. Every Last Word, Tamara Ireland Stone. All Adults Here, Emma Straub. The Vacationers, Emma Straub. The Lions of Fifth Avenue, Fiona Davis. Dear Child by Rami Hassman. The Dilemma, B.A. Paris. That one I finished in like 2 hours. I read it on the Kindle. The Perfect Stranger by Megan Miranda. Also very good. Also finished it in like 2 hours. My mom left this behind. And great book. And then my 100th book is Kings County. I want to give a shout out real quick to my favorite little bookstore that we found. It's in New York. It's on West 10th Street. It's called 3 Lives and Company. A great store. The employees were so nice. Great book selection. It's tiny. I love it. It's so cute. And I got a bunch of books there. I love history and learning the history of cities and events that happen there and everything. So I wanted to read a lot of like old New York books or like just the history. I'm really into like the architecture and stuff. So the history of the buildings and everything. So at that store, I bought all 4 of these books. So the 20 Minutes in Manhattan, this one was about, let me read the description to you. It was pretty interesting. Every morning, the architect and writer Michael Sorkin walks downtown from his Greenwich Village apartment through Washington Square to his Tribeca office. Sorkin isn't in a hurry and he never ignores his surroundings. Instead, he pays careful, close attention. And in 20 Minutes in Manhattan, he explains what he sees, what he imagines, what he knows, giving us extraordinary access to the layers of history, the feats of engineering and artistry, and the intense social drama that take place along a simple 20-minute walk. So this one was just really interesting. Like the chapters are each like parts of his commute, I guess, his walk to his office. Like there was one part where he was talking about the history of the stoop, because in his apartment he had a stoop. So he was just telling about like the history of those. It's very interesting, very different read. I also got this up in the old hotel. I think this is like a collection of stories. So there's a couple of stories, books within this physical book. There's McSorley's Wonderful Saloon, Old Mr. Flood, The Bottom of the Harbor, and Joe Gold's Secret. It's pretty interesting. I'm not very far yet. I'm only here, but so far it's pretty good. I'm definitely not going to finish this by the end of 2020, so this will go on my 2021 list. At that store, I got the Plaza. It's the history of the Plaza Hotel. Lovely, fascinating. I love that building, the architecture, and the history of it was just bizarre. Fascinating. Like, I had no idea Donald Trump owned it. He ran it into the ground and bankrupted it like he does everything else, including this country. But it was just really interesting, and they had some old pictures in here too. This is what it looked like when it was first built, and Manhattan wasn't like Manhattan yet. It was just this lonely old building. Like, how crazy. This, look at that fashion. The fashion. And then all these old cars lined up. Amazing. This was a really fascinating read. If you like history and like architecture, really anything, it's just a really good read. And then this, New York Diaries. This is my #1 book I read this year. It's a collection of like diary and journal entries that this Teresa Carpenter, she collected and put together, and it reads by date. So like June 24th, June 25th, and then it's just all these people, whoever had an entry on that day is just listed. Like it goes back to 1847. Includes diary excerpts from like Thomas Edison, Edgar Allan Poe, Andy Warhol, George Washington, Walt Whitman, Dorothy Day, like amazing. Teddy Roosevelt. This is just, it's a really, really good read. You like the history, you get connected to each person in here, and like it's their real life that you're reliving with them. So like someone from 1777, Ambrose Searle, like you're living their life. It's crazy. Amazing. So, okay, let me give you my top 5. So #1 was the New York Diaries, definitely. #2, I would say, is probably the Plaza. Very, very good. Let's see. #3, probably Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. It takes a while to get into it. It's very slow, but it's really good. Like, I can't even explain why it was good. It just was. Like, you have to read it and experience it for yourself. Fear City was also really good. It's not on my top, but it was just a history of New York and how it's always in a fiscal crisis. Okay, so #3, I would say Evicted by Matthew Desmond. It's a story about poverty and profit in the American city. It followed the stories of people in Milwaukee, actually, so where I'm from, basically, about people and like their struggles and evictions and how they managed to live, and like property owners in poor cities. It was just very, very interesting. Number 4, Park Avenue Summer by Renee Rose, and that one was really good. It was about, I think it's like in the 40s, 30s, I don't know. It was like an old set in a long time ago about this girl, like just growing up, working jobs and internships and stuff in New York City. Also tied for number 4 would be The Lions of Fifth Avenue. That one was about a woman also back in the day, like the 30s or 40s, whatever, who worked in the New York Public Library, and it was a really good story. It was like a mystery, but like also historical. I don't know, very, very good. Say number 5 would probably be They Ask Again, Yes. That one was a really good book by Mary Beth Keane. Just a very, very weird story. Francis Gleason and Brian Stanhope, rookie NYPD cops, are neighbors in the suburbs. What happens behind closed doors in both houses, the loneliness of Francis's wife Lena, and the instability of Brian's wife Anne sets the stage for the explosive events to come. In Mary Beth Keane's extraordinary novel, a lifelong friendship and love blossoms between Kate Gleason and Peter Stanhope, born 6 months apart. One shocking night, their loyalties are divided and their bond will be tested again and again over the next 30 years. This one was crazy. Like, you'd think it was just gonna be like this nice little book, and then bam, it's not. It was really good though, really, really good. So those were my top 5. Let me give some honorary mentions. So all the Karen Slaughter books were good. They kind of get repetitive. It's kind of basically the same story over and over, but different, you know, different scenarios, but like the same idea. But they're always really good. They're like mystery novels. The Return by Rachel Harrison. It was so good up until like the last 20% of the book. It just, you're like, what? Like, this was the best twist you could come up with. Like, come on. But the beginning was very good. Mysterious. Oh, also The Silent Patient. I totally saw it coming. Like, the ending was very predictable, but still it was like, oh my god, very good. Hidden Valley Road, Inside the Mind of an American Family, was fascinating. It's a true story about this family who had like a bunch of sons, and like 6 of them all had schizophrenia. Like, the entire family was just schizophrenic. Very interesting, fascinating, telling the story of each kid, what they were going through, and then the ones who didn't have it, like their perception of everything. Just very bizarre. Those are all of my books that I read this year. They were not all written in 2020, obviously. They were all not new releases. I just read what I read. I look through the Libby app and I do judge books by their covers, whatever looks interesting to me. I do also have a list of books I want to read written somewhere in some notebook here. Comment down below what books you read this year. What was your favorite? I'm always looking for new books to read, so let me know what you like. Who's your favorite author? Like, tell me everything. I want to know. Do you think I can get more than 100 in 2021? I don't know, because I feel like life might start going back to normal, so I don't know if I'm gonna have all the time I had this year. We'll see though. We'll see how the year goes. But anyways, that's all I have. Thank you for hanging out with me.